paid $130,000 a year. And he's the undersecretary for climate change, which is like being the undersecretary for virtue signaling. And this is what Charlie Parker had to say about it when he was asked about it at his don't have any fun this weekend press conference. Cut one.
I saw the video this morning. Lieutenant Governor and I both did. Followed up with Secretary Theorides. First of all, no one who works in our administration should ever say or think anything like that, ever. Secondly, Secretary Theorides is going to have a conversation with him about that.
He's not going to be fired. They're just going to have a conversation. So joining us now on the line is Representative Dave DeCoste from Norwell, and he's one of the leaders in the legislature against this TCI, which, according to Tufts University, could raise the price of a gallon of gasoline as much as 38 cents a gallon. And this is one way they are planning to break your will and break everybody's will by forcing us to not heat our homes and not drive. They're not going to stop driving. They're not going to stop heating their homes, but they want us to stop. Dave DeCoste, am I overreacting to this?
No, Howie. As a matter of fact, I thought about this. By the way, as always, hats off to Mass Fiscal for capturing this and making it known, because as always, if it was up to the Boston Globe, we'd never hear about it. So hats off to Mass Fiscal and the Boston Herald and all the other New Boston Post and the folks who are covering these things, NWRKO, of course. When they said breaking, I've talked to you about this offline before. You would be surprised at the number of 60, 70, even 80-year-old people I have, and I represent Norwell, Hanover, and Rockland in the legislature. The number of folks who are, doing their best. Some of them are working because they have to. Many of them are working because just they're industrious people. And these are the people he's talking about breaking. The families who are two-earner families who are going up and down Route 3 or Route 128 every day to try to do their best and raise money for the children, for their own families and so forth. They're participating in communities. They're running small businesses. Very many of them in my district are firefighters, police officers, a whole load of veterans, and of course school teachers and a zillion small businessmen and women. And these are the people he's talking about, putting the screws to, breaking. And frankly, when the governor, I support the governor, but when he heard that he's going to get the talk, I hope that fellow, Mr. Ismay, gets the same talk that the same people who in DCR got the talk. They got the talk that it's time to resign and go find another job.
Yeah, I don't understand how we could say something like this. I mean, this should be disqualifying if a Democrat says this or someone who works. I mean, he's obviously a liberal puke, but even a Democrat administration shouldn't tolerate this kind of talk. Break your will. I mean, that's fascistic to say something like that, isn't it?
I would say it's certainly got a totalitarian undertone, doesn't it? You'd expect to hear something like that out of the old East Germany or in Cuba, maybe, China, Red China. It really is. It is very disappointing, and I would hope by the end of next week, this time, that this fella is on his way
back to California.
Maybe he can. Yeah, well, it'd probably do quite well out there, but he's probably. It's probably certainly somebody that really, when we look at redundancy in the state bureaucracy, he probably ought to be placed at the top of the list soon.
Undersecretary for Climate Change. He hasn't missed a single paycheck. Well, all of your constituents, there's a story today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 1 out of 11 jobs in Massachusetts was lost last year, but not the Undersecretary for Climate Change. And
if you, this would be the case for every suburban representative. If you go down in my district, Route 228, 53, Route 139, and look at the number of businesses that have either closed, or you talk to the business owners, or they're just getting by, it really, really makes you think that, when you have somebody who should be considering himself, by the way, a public servant, talking about the people who pay his salary in that with that tone. It really, really is disappointing. And I hope that Governor Baker reassesses who he is hiring and who he's especially retaining.
What's the latest on TCI, this proposal? And again, they keep putting out this spin. Oh, it's only going to be a nickel to 7 cents. But of course, they can't break your will with a nickel extra. It's as bad as it is. They want to jack it up to 38 cents a gallon, which is what Tufts University says would be required, a 38 cents a gallon increase in the gas tax. That's what Tufts says would be required to meet their goals. So what is the status of the TCI, the break your will increase in the gas tax?
Howie, that's a good question. It's a good question. It depends on who you have asked. I've asked 2 or 3, individuals who should know, or agencies, and you get 3 or 4 different answers. Whether it be Mass Fiscal or Pioneer Institute or the folks in our own, legislature, and the staff do a good job, but the administration contends they already have the ability to do it. We'll see, and we'll see at one point. I know I just filled up, and I can tell you the high test is now coming up on $4 a gallon at Exxon anyway. And you have a system where the whole border, and this comes up again, bipartisan concern, we're going to give the whole strip of Massachusetts bordering New Hampshire yet another reason to go north and pick up and shop.
Exactly. And the people in Connecticut.
When you ask what the status is, it's a bit of a mystery now. I think we'll know later. And of course, now we have to worry about this possibly at the federal level, something along these lines.
Right. And they're also talking about a per mile a gallon tax cut. Buttigieg, the new transportation secretary, was talking about that. So,
well, to his credit, Governor Baker has already said absolutely not to that. So, and I know that that is not something that's going to fly, I think, in the state. And by the way, something we didn't touch on. All of these increases in the fuel prices are something that the Democrats and the liberals are supposed to oppose, which is a regressive tax. All of these increases fall most heavily on lower income individuals. It's just not a good way to control behavior or raise taxes either way.
Charlie said that he was elected in 2014, basically riding on the coattails of the referendum question to stop the automatic gas tax increases. Does it ever occur to anyone, or do you guys ever mention it to him, that there's a certain a huge level of hypocrisy here and double dealing, two-faced political backstabbing, to get elected to keep the gas prices down and then try to increase them more than any governor in history without either legislative or popular approval?
Howie, I can tell you, the governor he governs and he runs statewide. And so he faces a little bit different reality than if he had, for instance, a Republican 1/3 plus 1 in the Senate or House. And I can tell you, I'm sure that, I know the governor's heart is in the right place, but he I think is in the position of having to moderate and mitigate some really bad ideas that are going to be coming out of the legislature. And, I'm a supporter of Governor Baker. I voted for him twice. I'll vote for him a third time if it comes to this. But the bottom line is the voters, I think, within the footprint of WRKO really need to go out and if the governor had a 1/3 plus 1 in either the House or the Senate, things would be radically different in Massachusetts. That much I am absolutely certain of, and they would be a better for the positive.
You think he'd be a real I haven't seen him acting like a Republican for a very long time, Dave. I didn't vote for him in 2018, honestly.
Well, Howie, I guess I'm just a little more sunshine and happiness than you are, at least regarding this site. But I think the governor's heart is in the right place. He again, some of the ideas we're seeing out of this legislature, and I know it's a bit far afield, but on everything from rent control to taxes, and I know you've looked at the recent Pioneer study where we're losing and hemorrhaging. High income people are leaving right after retirement, either going to New Hampshire or Florida or elsewhere. we could be in the same boat in 5 or 10 years that Connecticut is in now. And that's not a good place to be in.
All right, Dave DeCoste, I always appreciate it. And, keep up the fight against the TCI, because it's just going to just accelerate the decline and fall of the once great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as you know.
I will do that, Howie, and best to you and your staff in 2021.
Thank you. That's Dave DeCoste. He's the state rep from Plymouth County, from Norwell and Hanover. And I think maybe, I don't know, with another place too, another town too, as well, or part of another town. Thank you, Dave DeCoste. My friends at Eden Pure have done it again. Starting today, you can get the Thunderstorm air purifier at the lowest price offered to my listeners. With code word Howie, the Thunderstorm is available for under $90 and shipping is free. This New Year sale is for 1 week only and while supplies last. The Thunderstorm is a small device you can hold in your hand and plug into the wall to purify the air from any odor. This could be pet odor, kitchen smells, tobacco, or that damp smell you may have in your basement. No filters are needed. I've seen comparable units that retail for more than $600 in doctors' offices, and I ask myself, why didn't they just order the Thunderstorm?
I bet people that have already ordered the Thunderstorm, when they have a peaceful protest at their home on Sunday, they're going to get a lot of compliments on how great their house smells. Right.
And it's going to, those chicken wings that you're going to put over the arson fire that you've put up as part of your peaceful protest. This takes care of the chicken smells. It takes care of maybe Uncle Bob smoking a cigar out on the patio, and the smell's drifting in. It takes care of everything. The Thunderstorm doesn't take up floor space, and it's quiet. Take advantage of this 1 week only sale and experience for yourself what all the listeners are raving about. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie. That's EdenPure.com, code word Howie. Shipping is free. I'm Howie Carr.
He's New England's talk radio king.